Breaking news. It's Friday night, and we're watching a police pursuit, a reminder of just how bad rush hour traffic is on a Friday night, as right now we're on the 405 freeway near the 101. We know what traffic is like there. So we understand that this started off apparently with a shoplifting in Camarillo. So that's why Ventura County Sheriff's Department took the lead on this whole thing. And also reports that the driver of this yellow Mustang rammed a Ventura County Sheriff's Department vehicle. So we're a long ways away from the outlet malls and Target and all the rest of it that's out in Camarillo. Now on the west side of Los Angeles, the Sepulveda Pass, looks like, or near there, 405 and Long Beach, Palms area, as we're now driving, trying to make his or her way through traffic, which is tough at this hour, Christine.
Well, that is a car that you really can't miss, that yellow Mustang there. Obviously, that driver, look at the maneuvers there to get away from law enforcement in this busy rush hour traffic. That's got to be very concerning for law enforcement when you see someone willing to drive like this. Also, keeping in mind that driver is accused of ramming a Sheriff's Department vehicle. That is a very bold move as well. So for law enforcement, I think they have their radar on in a whole different way when you have incidents like that.
We had Tyrese in the building earlier today on Good Day LA Plus in the 11 a.m. hour, and this feels a little Fast and Furious kind of thing when we see a car that loud making these kinds of maneuvers, you know, and you hope that somebody innocent doesn't get hit. Clearly, this person is pretty aggressive. There are different degrees when we see these pursuits of people just sort of staying in traffic and waiting it out. And this person is being way more ambitious than that, driving in areas that people are not supposed to drive in and trying to weave his or her way through this traffic on this Friday night. 405 now near the Venice Boulevard exit in the Palms area, Mar Vista neighborhood. And this person driving southbound towards LAX.
You know, I'm thinking, Alex, at this hour, we're always on the news, but having been on the streets at this hour at other times, it is bumper to bumper going southbound for a long ways. Everybody heading back down south to the beach communities, to Orange County. It's a Friday night.
To the airport?
To the airport, yeah. So this driver is likely to encounter this kind of traffic for many, many miles. Now, will this driver exit, or are they just using that as a free way to, you know, get around traffic at a high rate of speed there? But you mentioned the kind of car. We haven't heard that it's stolen in any way, so wondering if it is indeed stolen, or this is the person's car and they're willing to just go for this joyride, and knowing they're very, very visible.
And as we know, traffic at this time is not particularly great on side streets either. So even if you were to get off or go on to the 90 and head to the marina, or go on the side streets of Culver City or wherever around here, there's not a lot of places to go that would give you a wide open road. Although this person making some good time here, driving on the side and getting around a lot of this rush hour traffic.
You know, we've talked about drivers who do kind of like crazy moves to get away as people who might have been in the custody of law enforcement at some point in time, or they know these pursuits well, or they don't want to go to jail again. Tim Lynn is joining us. He is our police expert. You've seen a lot of these pursuits. What do you make of this one?
To the 90, maybe?
Well, I call this the coarse knowledge. Yeah, coming up on the 91 here south on the 405. Yeah, there's folks that on these pursuits that when they get away, especially the criminals that are doing things like the organized theft, retail theft that these folks are wanted for. Yeah, they have more of an incentive to get away, and they're part of another larger group, so they don't want to get caught more than your joyrider who steals a car and drives around this neighborhood showboating. So they got a very powerful vehicle here that's able to keep up speeds and maneuver, as well as now using that right shoulder to get by all that stopped traffic on the 405, which at this time of the night usually is almost at a dead stop as you come up to that 90. So working its way through the south end of Culver City here. This will take them down. If they continue on the 405, it'll take them down towards the LAX airspace, so it may be a problem for Skyfox to get in there, as well as you can see the weather acting up here. But right now, all law enforcement can do here is keep the air unit overhead keep track of this, and then keep the ground units availed of where he's at, so the units in the different jurisdictions as they go through. Man, getting this a pretty heavy overcast there, working his way along, but they'll keep the local law enforcement agencies informed of the location, to where if he gets off the freeway, goes to foot, they're able to set up a perimeter pretty quick. But this driver really using the gore points and the shoulders to get around this traffic and keep up the speeds. But I haven't seen one black and white anywhere near him at this point, and that's not unusual for the speed and the manner in which this person is driving.
Yeah, although they do have helicopters up in the air in addition to our helicopters that are keeping an eye on this person. Yeah, if you're looking at this weather pattern and you're watching us right now from, say, Riverside or part of the San Fernando Valley, Woodland Hills, and you're like, what is that? The west side has really been socked in recent days, and we see this thick marine layer, especially at times like this in areas like Westchester. We've seen it from our LAX cam as we get near LAX now, and that makes it more challenging for the helicopter to even keep an eye on this person. And you see how thick these clouds are. So now we're getting real close to the LAX area, probably near Howard Hughes here, and we'll see if the driver continues to stay on the freeway or decides to get off.
Yeah, La Tierra is the edge of the surface area for LAX, so the Fox helicopter will not be able to go past that point. The law enforcement helicopters, if traffic lets it, they should let them through, but you see it off La Tierra.
Tim, exiting the freeway here in the Westchester area, this is the first we've seen this driver get off the 405 freeway. Wondering if this driver has a familiarity with the area, or perhaps is realizing that it is going to be bumper to bumper for a long time. Now, again, this was in Ventura County that this started. So, Tim, your thoughts on this driver getting off the freeway?
Well, he probably knows where he's going now, because this takes him down into that north complex of LAX and into the area which gets very tight down in here.
Smart.
So getting in here, you got to be very familiar with the roads down in this point. If not, you're going to get trapped in. So, jurisdictions mean nothing nowadays with the mobility of the crooks that are coming, from Brazil to come up here and do crimes, coming from, the far inland empire to do crimes, and coming out of L.A. to go up to Ventura to do something is not unusual. Racing its way back now on La Tierra, this is going to take him right down on the north border of LAX, and it gets pretty tight and pretty congested as we get a little further west here. And as you said, Alec, the marine layer is not fun. You see the LA area ship flying through there. It's really low. It's been low, like you said, all week long here, and very thick along the coastline. So they're going to have to deal with that in the police helicopter as well.
Yeah,
as he forces his way through.
Yeah, because we know that our helicopters, and if somebody was really smart and really planned this thing out, you would drive so wildly that they end up in tracking mode, which means you only got the helicopter following you. And then if you go into, LAX territory, our helicopters can't follow you. And you got this thick marine layer. Do police helicopters have the same restrictions as our news helicopters when it comes to LAX restricted airspace?
The LA Tower, LA controllers will give the PD a little more room to work, a little bigger area to come in, because they work every day with those pilots, and the pilots have a letter of agreement with the tower on where they can and cannot operate. But, yeah, there are certain points of, they call the critical areas, well, they'll not let them fly through. And as we continue down Airport Way, this is taking him back down south towards the final approaches now for the runway 24 complex, or the north side complex. And there's a certain point to when it becomes a critical area that will, man.
Yeah, dangerous.
As he works his way down, they're going to stop the LAPD helicopter from going any further south, because now he's getting into the critical area for those approaches into the north complex. But what the PD helicopter can do is, if it didn't have to deal with this crime, right through that red light.
Yeah.
But it didn't have to deal with this cloud layer. They can be able to climb up and stay over the top of it. But I'm sure the news helicopters, they're going to keep them completely out. Matter of fact, there is an agreement that the news helicopters will not operate in what they call the surface area of LAX while a pursuit is in progress. But going on the Century Boulevard now back towards the 405 freeway, this is really good. He looks like he's on the, he's good. I thought he was on the opposite side of the street. But
maybe he doesn't know.
This will take him back. Yeah, maybe not. But he's heading his way back towards the 405 freeway. But the traffic is going to be horrible here on Century heading back that way.
Well, you make an interesting point about the crime tourism that we've been covering this year a lot of, where you have people coming from foreign countries, like countries in South America, to Los Angeles just to commit some of these home invasions and burglaries and robberies. Tim, do you find that they drive a fancy car like this? I mean, this is not something that is kind of blends in.
You know, you never know what they drive. You never know what they're going to be in. They could be in the fact that right there, CHP is right in behind me, but there's really not too much they can do. You got innocent people all over the place here. They're not going to make an approach and put that person in the dark car in any hazardous. But back to the type of car they use, it all depends what they get their hands on. Yeah, yellow high-performance vehicle is not a great vehicle to do a robbery in, you know, or do something of sort that you want to blend in because you're going to stick out. Normally, you see them in the grays and the whites, and for every car down there's like that, but this yellow sticks out. And you know, a lot of these folks, you know, they're not thinking that far ahead. You know, who knows what their background is, what their association is, you know. And but these folks have gone into the major leagues with assault on a peace officer by ramming the vehicle, and now doing the commercial type burglary I guess it was during the day at some place up there in Ventura. So you're dealing with some violent people here. Now you hear there's a problem where the Skyfox is going to have an issue getting in there because they're not going to let them get any further into the approach corridor. So hopefully you'll see him pop out here on the other side of the 405 freeway here on Century. There's looks like a motorcycle unit. But anyway.
There he is. Man,
are you sure that's the right yellow car, Alex?
Yeah, maybe not. But it makes it easy, though. Being in that car makes it easier for law enforcement.
Well, I can tell you right now, the cameraman's very happy for a yellow vehicle.
Yeah.
Heading along Imperial now, this will take him back through the north end of Hawthorne Airport's airspace, but they'll let them go through as long as he stays south.
Fast.
Blasting through the intersections.
Well, you know, we talk about where a suspect exits the freeway and why they exit the freeway. Is this an area that is familiar to them? Did they just get tired of the backup on the freeway during this rush hour at 5:30 almost? Or are they getting too far away from Ventura County? We don't know if they're from that region, and L.A. County itself is perhaps completely foreign territory where they perhaps want to circle back and get back towards Ventura County. We just don't know.
Exactly. They've run the license plate on this vehicle, if that's not a dealer advertisement plate on there, to figure out where this car is from. And if it's come from the LA County area, they will notify the local PD or the sheriffs that cover the area where the vehicle is registered, and they'll be standing by in that area. Because if he's going to run to a familiar area and it's his vehicle, you know, sometimes these folks do use their own cars, then they're able to kind of have a whole bunch of resources in the area. But the way it's rolling here on Imperial now on Hawthorne Boulevard heading south, you know, I'm not really sure if he knows where he's at, as you said. And when we use that term about running to a familiar place, you see a lot of that with the joyriding and the people who are just showboating around. They'll try to get back to friendly areas where they know to run and have a friendly house to get into.
So we're now in Inglewood. We wonder if this person will get close to some of the traffic around areas like SoFi Stadium and the Forum and Intuit Dome. Now going through some of these different strip malls where cars are parked, and we're seeing a lot of congestion, as you would expect in this area on a Friday night. Almost hit a car there, and wondering if this person knows where he or she is going, or is this sort of randomly choosing places. It seemed for a while like they were making a pretty smart strategic decision to go right by LAX, but then they turned the other direction and allowed the chopper to catch up, law enforcement to catch up, and it's a lot sunnier, if you notice, even in Inglewood, where it was right along the coast, near close to that LAX airspace.
Yeah, exactly. The further away from the coastline you get, the better it gets. I mean, I'm personally only about 2 miles to the coast. I have sunshine, but I know the coast is under fog right now. But yeah, this moving around here, this is just north of the 105 freeway here on Hawthorne Boulevard. He's working his way south. But, you know, one CHP units staying way back. So obviously they've told them to go in surveillance mode and just keep an eye on him, get him into a place where, they hopefully he'll take off.
It is now 5:30. You are watching the Fox 11 News at 5. We are on with breaking news coverage of a suspect who is fleeing law enforcement. We believe all this started far from Inglewood in Camarillo, where there was an alleged shoplifting incident. This driver allegedly rammed a Ventura County Sheriff vehicle with his vehicle or her vehicle, and has now been on the run for some time now. CHP now in charge of this pursuit. Christine Devine, Alex Michelson here, along with Tim Lynn, our police specialist, as traffic right now here at a standstill.
Yeah, much of this pursuit was on the freeway, the 405 southbound, got off on surface streets here about the Mar Vista-ish area on the LAX area, and now here in Inglewood. Still busy, busy street during this rush hour, even on the surface streets. And then you see pockets of it being wide open here.
Yeah, wide open there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got a vehicle back there getting on
back on the freeway.
It looks like we're going to be, eastbound 105 is probably what this is going to turn into. But yeah, if you stop like that, traffic will move away, and more likely that CHP unit had his siren on for a bit. They may have caused, but there's a motor officer right on his tail too. So
maybe that motor officer can keep up a lot better than those patrol cars, because the way that driver's been driving on the shoulder of the road, going around the traffic, maybe you need something like a bike just to keep up with it.
Yeah, and we're now looking in the carpool lane. We also don't know if there's a passenger in this vehicle either. That could be another violation coming, Tim. Probably the least of this person's problems. But it looks like CHP getting more aggressive right here. What do you make of that?
Yeah, they're getting up here on the 105. They're going to get a little more room here. But the problem is these speeds are too high to do any type of pit maneuver or things of that sort. Just get as close as they can and see what they can see in the car. But going back to the motor officer, most departments, and I can't say all of them, but most departments have policies against motor units being involved in pursuits, because it's just too dangerous for the guys on the motors. You're asking for trouble on that. So, and especially with a helicopter on board, you don't need that. So I don't know why the unit got up there, maybe just to get a little intel, try to figure out who's in the car, how many people are in the car, because the dark tinted windows,
very tinted, yeah,
the observer can't see through. So yeah, you're really picking up the speed here, using that right shoulder, the HOV lane, and so yeah.
This person's as we look at a motorcycle, earlier today we had coverage of a motorcycle pursuit here on Fox 11, and eventually the motorcyclist got away because it was just too dangerous to follow him. Motorcycles and pursuits is a more complicated endeavor, but this driver, Tim, pretty skilled at driving, pulled off some pretty dangerous maneuvers. Let's hope everybody stays safe in the process, but seems to be moving pretty well.
It kind of tells you maybe it's his car, so he or she may know how to drive it very well. The one thing people do in these is they, what we call overdrive their talent, to where they get going too fast and are unable to control the vehicle, and just that little snap of the steering wheel can bring you right on around it at 90 miles an hour. Also, too, the use of the brakes. A lot of time we see them in these pursuits where they're going so hard, braking really hard, and they get what is called brake fade, to where it just heats up the brakes so much that they just stop working. So you'll come up to an intersection, step on the brakes, and you'll have nothing there. But I haven't seen much of that here, where there's a lot of, high, heavy type braking. So luckily, he's somewhat controlling the vehicle now, just above freeway speed, and not really snapping through, because he could be going a lot faster than what he's on right now. So, like you said, Alec, you got an observation on that. He is driving at a pace not overgoing his abilities, and also not overstressing the vehicle he's driving.
Well, I'm thinking of the 105 eastbound freeway traffic at this hour, a little after 5:30 here, also being a heavily traveled route. People coming from the beach areas or that west side of town going back east on a 5 o'clock evening Friday night here. Tim, your thoughts on what this driver is likely to encounter as they go along here eastbound on the 105?
Well, he's going to come up on that 110 interchange, and whether he decides to make it north for downtown or south for the San Pedro Port, then past there, he's got the 710, And the freeway traffic is going to get heavier as he goes on. Now he's jumping off. It might be the 110 transition. Yep, 110 transition. And you saw the sign. He goes under. Let's see. It looks like we're going to try to go to the right, which is the port. And now southbound 110. Yeah, so this will pick up. This will be a little less traffic going southbound 110. It'll bunch up as he comes to the 91 and 405. But after that, it's free sailing all the way down to the port. And he has two other freeways to take an option on. So what this is showing me now is we go back to that. Does he know where he's at? Did he know? No. At this point, he's just running because there was several places that he could have got out on foot and took off. But at this point, he's just running the freeways, hoping to maybe get a little distance and blend in. But like we talked about,
blend in with that yellow Mustang.
Yeah, right.
I don't know about that blending in, right? Definitely able to pick up speeds here. So you are seeing now the great lengths that this driver is willing to take to get away from law enforcement. Reminding you, this driver already rammed a sheriff's car in Ventura County, has been driving on the shoulder of the road, has, remember, come from Camarillo all the way down to the Harbor Gateway area now. So, Tim, reminding our viewers that this driver really wants to get away.
Yeah, the only thing going for him right now is hopefully for that distance and as hard as he's been accelerating and running at speeds, maybe we have a gas issue. He'll run out of gas, and then that'll take care of the pursuit. But we're just hoping that, when they get into this, the units that are in pursuit are holding back, trying not to antagonize him to, try to head fake there to go off the freeway. But that air unit overhead is not having any problem keeping up with him and keeping him in sight. And now, with the CHP, is they're radioing to their different divisions, different offices, as they call it, where this person is. And they're not engaged in the pursuit right now. It's in a surveillance mode, except for that one unit that keeps popping up on it. But right now, it's just a matter of time whether he runs out of gas, runs out of luck, and hits something, or decides to stop and go on foot. But we've watched these before where they've gone, for several hours, and the person just
wow, in between cars.
Through. Wow.
Yeah.
This person very desperate, and you hope that their cars aren't side swipes, and they now you see CHP getting more involved, knowing that things are getting a little more intense. Will they try to pit him right here?
He could very well at that point when he went across the intersection.
Too fast.
Now he's jamming on the.
Got out of there.
Backing off it as well. Yeah. He had a chance there going through the intersection, but hey, look at that.
Whoa, the tire.
The tire.
The tire's coming
out.
Man. The tire's coming out.
So you wonder if, and it looks like the side of the car there may have gotten some damage. Maybe the car hit one of those other vehicles when trying to go through. So now the wheels are literally starting to come off this vehicle, which looked invincible about 30 seconds ago. Now looks like it could have some serious problems as we drive into the Harbor Gateway area, and this may not last that much longer.
No, I don't think it will, because that's drive wheels that are on the back of this vehicle here. So he's starting to drag pieces and parts of his car. More than likely, if he just didn't go flat from running it so hard, he may have rubbed up against one of those other vehicles and punched the sidewall. But you can see it's really, got parts coming off the bottom, so he may have had damage underneath it already.
And the speeds he's going at still, though, it's got to be much harder to control that car.
Wow.
Yeah, it would be. The driving wheel right now is just pushing him along. Luckily, for him, the front wheels are still up, and that's what he's steering with. But, yeah, as long as he has traction with that right side, he's going to be able to hold speed until this rubber comes off his left rear and starts dragging the rim. And at that point, you start dragging frame after you wear that down. So that'll be an issue there too. But yeah, right now it looks like we're picking up the 405 here. Is this the 91? So transition.
Moving on to the 91. We keep saying he. We don't know the description of the suspect yet. We haven't been able to get a good look because the windows are so tinted. It usually ends up being a man, but not always in these situations. We'll see. And we also don't know if there's anybody else in this vehicle because the windows are so tinted. We haven't been able to get a check if there's a passenger.
Oh, he's bailing.
Here we go.
Bailing. Passenger also. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, are they giving up? Is that a...
It looks like...
Giving up?
That, wow, that ended pretty quickly.
Well, where can they really go?
Yeah.
Grateful they didn't try to carjack somebody else?
Yeah,
all right.
Exactly. That's a problem you have at the end of these when they stop like this. they end up running into another vehicle and pulling people out and taking off with a fresh car
Checking.
that's not
Anybody
damaged.
else?
Checking the car out. Yeah.
Nobody else in the vehicle, it looks like. And
well, just very grateful, Tim, as we watch this here, that these suspects decided to just give up. Nobody got hurt. Other motorists there are safe. I mean, this could have ended very badly had they tried to go for another driver, go for another car, if they had a weapon that they pulled. But there you have it. Those are your suspects there in that very lengthy pursuit from Ventura County.
And the way that that driver is dressed is a similar outfit we've seen in some of these different retail theft incidents as well. So it'll be interesting if we find out more about who exactly these two individuals are. And you see there a good look at the damage, why they decided to give up on this. Good news is, as far as we can tell, nobody hurt in all of this. Tim Lynn, thanks for your guidance. We always appreciate it.